But when you're a PC, you're forced to learn about your computer. You're forced to know what your graphics card is and what your processor is and how to do part exchanges and things like that. And that's something that is a lot to ask of some people, but it shouldn't be. I think that a lot of people need to learn more about their computer. You don't have to be a full-fledged nerd like most of us in this room are, but you don't need to be. You don't have to be, totally just blocked off from, what this is. That you look at consoles now; they're the same thing. It's the same thing as a computer. I mean, the new innovations coming out, it's just the same thing. Like, the Wii Wand. It's just like another way of controlling it. It's just like a mouse rethought. And you look at, the Project Mental and the cameras and stuff. It's like just the camera is the same thing as like a webcam, but it's rethought and better technology to do different things. Inside though, if you break it down to its core parts, it's a processor, RAM, graphics card, cooling, heat sinks. It's all the same stuff. Remember the red rings of death? The reason why that was happening was because it wasn't getting rid of heat well enough. There wasn't enough heat sinks. The case wasn't designed well enough. These are PC problems that we face, and the thing is Microsoft will simplify it down for you, but they can also screw up. So, you have these things, and you can work on your computer, and you can do things the way you want them done. Which is good, but if you being on the console, you can also end up oblivious to what's going on inside your machine.
And well, one other point I wanted to bring up about the divide between the PC and the console gamer is how it really has been affecting developers. If you look at developers, PC has been slowly getting things due to the state of the economy, that have been made on the consoles because it's just practical to make things for more systems now. But at the same time, you look at a game like Crysis. That's a game that really should be on PC because it takes advantage of all its features and everything, and it just looks gorgeous, by the way. But when you deal with things like piracy and creating the online user content community versus the matchmaking community, you have two completely different worlds. And if you look at the way things are selling, it just seems smart to focus on console gamers if you're trying to create a more mainstream experience. But then again, there's certainly a different market for the PC and a different type of community that appreciates different type of content.
It definitely makes it more fast. Like, you can go out and buy a console and there you go, you're all set. If you have to go buy a PC, you have to know the specs, requirements, and all that.
It's not that hard, though. A lot of people think it's really hard to figure out, my specs and all that stuff.
Yeah, but, if someone doesn't understand those numbers, it might be a little confusing.
I would agree that you do have to learn about things, but, the system requirement thing, basically, like, the most depressing part of being a PC gamer, finding out how outdated your computer is. But if you really break it down, to how much you've got in it and how long you've had it, you would have already bought a console by now. You would have. The amount of time I have a computer. I build a computer with a quad core today. It'll last 10 years. I cannot say that about a console. So anyway, I want to move this along because I'm sure you don't want to sit around and listen to this all day. Anyway, we're gonna just talk about another little PC thing real quick. We'll just breeze through this. I just want to talk about it. It's a good idea to start building computers with liquid cooling systems. I'll just try to take this one down in one bite real quick. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say this to anyone who's building a computer. Try to stay away from the liquid cooling, unless you're doing something very outstanding with your specs. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. Number one, it's expensive. You're going to have to buy a lot more things. You're going to have to buy all kinds of stuff, and you have to buy, coolant to keep putting in it. You have to replace your coolant every now and again. And air cooling, by the way, heat sinks, fans and stuff, works perfectly fine. The biggest problem with heat, if you're running on a stock system, you don't need liquid cooling. The biggest problem with heat and all the problems with heat are really going to be solved by Intel and AMD themselves. It's not going to be solved by your own liquid cooling adventures. It's really going to be solved by better design and better processors. If you find a processor is running real hot, it's probably because it's designed poorly and you shouldn't have been buying it in the first place. If anyone out there is looking for a good cooler, I'm not going to go into the specs of this, but check out the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Plus. It's a great cooler. It's only $30, and it runs basically twice as cool as a typical stock Intel cooler. So you guys should definitely check that out if you're looking for a good cooler. Go on their website and things like that. Just more on liquid cooling. You got to be careful. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. Those tubes can leak. Their leaks have happened. Tubes get weakened over time. It's just a fact of life. It's going to happen, and you may end up wrecking your system on it. Water and electronics, not a good thing. Plus all the other chemicals are in coolant. Is anyone got anything to say about liquid cooling?
Well, yeah, I'd say if for some reason, if you absolutely decide you must go with liquid cooling, either that's the way you built your computer and you got like an i7 and you're turbocharging that thing to no end for whatever you may be doing. If you're gonna do it, and if you're gonna do it on your own, you had better know what you are doing. I mean, your liquid cooling is just like a refrigerator. If you ever pull back your refrigerator and feel that wetness on the back, that's called condensation. If you don't build your liquid cooling right, condensation will build up in your computer and you will destroy it. So if you do decide to go with your liquid cooling, you had better know what you were doing and definitely have done it before. Don't make it a first timer.
Yeah,
on
don't
your own
freehand
computer.
it. One final point: if you are doing something exotic, and what I'd consider something kind of crazy is maybe overclocking past a gigahertz off your stock clock. If you're going to overclock that much, a gigahertz and a half, then you'll probably look into something more exotic like liquid cooling. But keep in mind, these are not your only options. Do your research. But I just want to touch this because I hear this coming up in the PC world all the time. Should I liquid cool? Should I not? Just if you're gigahertz or more overclock, maybe look into it. But you really better research. You better know what you're doing, all right? So we're going to move on. We're going to talk about another big topic, and it's a little far out, now, to be talking about this kind of stuff, but we're going to talk about the next-gen market, and it's been a while since, the current gen has been released, and it's probably a little while since the next gen can be released, but the way we're interpreting this question is, what company, based on what we see now, because we know all the motion control stuff out, we've all seen the Project Natal, we've all seen the PS3 one, Wii Motion Plus is out, which console and which company is best set up for this next gen endeavor that's gonna come out very soon?
Well, I want to take this one first because I was reading some rumors before how the next console they're doing is called the Wii HD. I don't know if it's true or not, but if that's like their biggest change for the next gen console, that's kind of
underwhelming.
Yeah, underwhelming. Yeah, compared to the PS3 and the Xbox. I think the best one that's going to be is the Xbox. The PS3, their current ad right now, it only does everything. If it does everything now, what the heck else does it need to do?
Well, they're going to add extensive peripherals, and it's going to do everything and do everything to your wallet as well.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, the Xbox, doesn't have Blu-ray yet. There was a rumor about a couple weeks ago that they were thinking about adding a Blu-ray player, which I think is kind of a cool idea. Maybe not like the HD where it's a separate component, but have it included in with the Xbox. So I think that the next gen is going to go to the Xbox and Microsoft because they're gonna be more incorporated for the future. PS3, they have a 10-year plan. Their PS2 is still running and still generating sales, so I don't think that they're ready to release the PS4 or whatever.
Whatever it's gonna be called, yeah.
Yeah, next thing. And the Wii, if it releases the Wii HD, sure, it'll be cool, but it will be the same.
Be more the same.
Yeah, the same stuff. I mean, they have motion controllers, which are pretty cool right now, and they kind of released the Wii Motion Plus, so they really have nothing else to do, and it's just better graphics.
Yeah, I think that if the Wii HD came out, it's kind of what the Wii should have been, because it's been a weakness of their visuals and things like that. But if I'm going to talk about who's best set up for next gen, I'm going to go with Microsoft on their Project Natal and the kind of things they're incorporating. And I'm going to have one thing to say about Project Natal, is it has to be done the right way. The things they're showing right now is people controlling their systems with no hands, or people are they show people watching movies and scrolling through their movies by swatting their hand around, or people playing games with nothing. It's okay if you release some things like that. But you gotta do it right. So it has all this facial recognition and things like that. Maybe the game should be, let's say Call of Duty, you're playing Call of Duty, you run into cover, there's a general there who's sitting there, and you need to give him orders. Instead of selecting things, or him just giving you orders, why don't you talk to your TV? He'll read your face, your expression, you'll talk to him, and he'll be a real person. You'll come up with your own plan, and if they can make it understand you, like I'm talking right now, and it can understand basically everything that's going on, that will be very incredible, very impressive.
The only thing I'm concerned with that is with Call of Duty, when you're with Project Natal and you have to do interactivity, I don't want to have to be running behind my couch, taking cover behind fake enemies.
Yeah, that'll be a
like
little...
that Wii commercial.
That'll be a little much.
Yeah.
My Xboxes are in places right now where there's not really much